Good afternoon and welcome to coverage of the second match of Scotland's women's Under-19s Euro qualification campaign. After a fantastic start against Czechia with a 4-0 victory, this afternoon Scotland face Spain here in Kirkintilloch. Spain also winners in their opening match after beating Switzerland 3-0. I'm Callum Brown and delighted to be joined this afternoon by former Glasgow City and Scotland player Emma Black. We'll be with you in a moment or so, but for now we'll just go a little bit quiet as we have the national anthems of both nations. Emma, looking forward to this one?
Yeah, I certainly am, considering obviously they're coming off the back of a 4-0 victory and a clean sheet, so it sets us up nicely for playing this afternoon.
So all set for this one then, a really difficult task for Scotland today against Spain. Scotland big underdogs, but a fantastic start, and you just never know. We'll have a quick look at the teams. Starting with Scotland, who actually are the away team in this fixture. Spain on paper are the home side, albeit the match being held in Kirkintilloch. And well, it's an unchanged side from Gary Doctor, from the team that beat Czechia 4-0 in the opener. 2 goals from left back Fallon Connolly-Jackson and a couple from this afternoon's captain Laura Berry. And as for Spain, they've made 5 changes from their opener against Switzerland. Some real standout players in that squad, including Daniela Agote, Under-19 Euros winner last summer. Player of the tournament in that one as well. As I mentioned, Spain a terrific side, winners at this age group of 5 out of the last 6 Euros. They'll be hopeful and confident of reaching the finals again this summer.
Yeah.
But Scotland are trying to stay in their way, get out of their way.
Yeah, absolutely, Callum. I think that's an incredible start, isn't it? 5 out of the last 6 competitions, and it just shows you the development that's happening in Spain at the moment. And a nation like us, we're trying to play catch up, we're trying to match that, and it's incredible to see that it's not only just the 19s that develop that way and go on to winning tournaments, Under-17s do the same, then obviously that filters through to the national squad, the full national squad for the women's team, and what a credit is to that nation. But I think, as you said at the top of the show there, Callum, we go into this game full of confidence on the back of a 4-0 victory.
Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of players at this level we mentioned have used the Under-19s platform to progress their careers in the senior game. Plenty for Scotland, plenty for Spain. And as you mentioned, it will be a difficult task. Scotland are no doubt the underdogs against Spain. 3 consecutive Under-19s Euros at this age group, 5 out of the last 6 as well. Spain started their campaign with a convincing 3-0 win against Switzerland, a double from Christina Liebrandt and also a goal from Marissa Garcia, and really that was them picking up where they left off after a faultless round 1 qualifying campaign, that back in November and December. 6-0 wins over Northern Ireland and Belgium, as well as that 3-0 win over Iceland. So that's 4 games, no goals conceded, and Spain could be a really tough opponent this afternoon. But Scotland will get us underway here as Laura Berry goes for goal immediately. A bit wayward with the effort, but Scotland going for it from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she was maybe trying to use the conditions here. You can see it's quite blustery at times. And I'd actually seen a goal scored like that just like a few weeks ago. It was actually Rochelle Littlejohn, who used to play in Scotland, scored directly from kick-off. But that just obviously shows the confidence that Berry's in at the moment.
Yeah, I seem to remember young Lennon Miller doing it for Scotland at this age group as well. Perhaps it was maybe the under-17s for Scotland against England and another. So Scotland trying to start on the front foot. You would imagine Spain will attempt to control possession.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. That's their philosophy, isn't it? All through their age groups is possession of the ball, try and keep the ball, short passes, and then try and find that killer pass.
Here is Pau Comendador of Real Madrid. Good defending there by Georgia Gray.
Yeah, that was good defending. She was aggressive, she was tight to her, just not allowing it to get the cross in, just trying to nick the ball away from her.
Agir Zabala finding Kubo. Back to the left back, and will be delivered by Agir Zabala straight into the front post though, and that one comfortable for Eva Easton to collect for the goal kick. Spain some early possession there.
It was, and Scotland will take that, looking to get crosses into the box. We've got strong defenders in there in the centre back positions just to go and win those headers and go and challenge for it. And obviously the goalkeeper Easton, she's quite comfortable. She's aggressive, she's commanding over box to come out and collect anything that's in the air.
Bejarano looking for the ball through there, unable to find Alba Serrato of Sevilla, and again claimed by Eva Easton, young Glasgow City goalkeeper. Second choice at the minute to Scotland's number one, Lee Gibson, but has had a decent campaign, and when she stepped in, alone last season at Partick Thistle as well, and it's really come on a lot over the last couple of years. Albeit all these players still very young, but a lot playing their football at first team level. Plenty doing so as well in the Spanish side, but the majority for the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona's B teams and the second tier in Spain. A lot of Scots plying their trade in the SWPL at first team senior level.
That's fantastic for the game. You want your youth players at under-19s levels to be in the SWPL first teams. You want them to be on the pitch, you want them to get game time. It's valuable for their development.
Here's Naomi Bejarano linking up with Agote. Stood in the right hand side, could be a real handful for Scotland. The right back, Naomi Bejarano of Real Madrid, one of the members of this squad that won the Under-19s Euros in the summer. She was in the team of the tournament, as was Daniela Agote, who's playing on the right wing. She scored a goal in the semi-final of that tournament against England, also in the team of the tournament and player of the tournament itself. So could be a tough task for the likes of Ella West and Fallon Connolly-Jackson down that left side of Scotland's defence.
That was good covering there from Finney, wasn't it? West was just dragged out of position a little bit. She was just caught higher up the pitch, and Finney recognised that, and she came across and covered her centre back. Good defending.
And Scotland will take that. I think a foul throw given there. Yeah, I mentioned Emma players playing at first team level, so young. You mentioned Maddie Finney there. She made her SWPL debut for Aberdeen aged 15, and how important is it? You'll know yourself coming through as an ex-pro, how important it is to make those steps as early as possible. But of course you need to be good enough. Yeah,
of course you have. That's first and foremost. I made my first team senior debut when I was 15 at Glasgow City, so it's really valuable for your development. You're through in the mix with the senior players, and you've got international players that you're playing alongside and training alongside, and you may not get as many minutes as you wanted to begin with in your first season or so, but just being in that environment is is valuable. You know, it's for your own development, you know, just to see how the other pros train and behave on and off the pitch.
Was nice play there by Spain. It ends with Comendador being fouled there. Brody Greenwood just holding on to the leg really there of the Real Madrid forward.
You can just see the Scotland intent, can't you, Callum? You know, they're wanting to press hard, they want to try and close them down, not give them any space and time on the ball.
Something to defend now for Scotland. Lorena Kubo of Barcelona over this deep free kick. 4 in the Scotland wall. It could be a potential shooting opportunity, albeit it is a long distance back. Ayara Aguirre-Zabala is also over it with the left foot. The youngest member of this Spain squad at 16. There will be Kubo to hit it. Not a bad effort, but comfortable for Eva Easton in the Scotland goal. Scotland will take them all day long. Well claimed by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it wasn't quite a favourable angle, wasn't it? You can see they were obviously trying to work something just before that. You were obviously trying to shift it to the side, and then obviously Scotland were aware of that, so obviously took the direct shot at goal, but you know it was comfortable for the goalkeeper in the end.
Yeah, Scotland been unable, albeit only 7 minutes in, to really get their forward players into things, but here come Scotland now on the attack, looking for that focal point of Laura Berry, trying to get the likes of Mason Clark and Lisa Forrest into play as well. Laura Berry so impressive in that opening game, 2 goals for her against Czechia. A lovely solo effort. She beat 4 players and a fantastic finish with her left foot, and then a few minutes later a brilliant team goal. Forrest was involved, as was Clark. The front 3 combining, and Laura Berry was on hand, 17 years of age, and she's really impressing after, you know, developing out on loan at Motherwell and now with the Rangers first team.
Yeah, she was so impressive at Motherwell. You know, she was that impressive that Rangers obviously brought her back the business end of the season, shall we say, back into the first team. But you know, she was their go-to player at Motherwell. You know, she scored some great important goals for Motherwell. You know, it helped them get into the top 6 also in the SWPL 1. So, and then obviously back now within the Rangers first team, signed her professional contract, and as you said, Callum, she's only 17.
Yep, no, absolutely, and captain on her side this afternoon, taking the armband from Lisa Forrest, who was captain for the opener, and sort of spoke a little bit off air about, you know, Scotland tending to change the captain. All into the box there is cleared, only as far as Sarah Yorda. Aguirre-Zabala, chance to put it back in. Really dangerous ball, and Georgia Gray just manages to usher it out, but coming in at the far post. Spain really close to taking the lead there through Daniela Agotti.
What an incredible ball that was into the back post, wasn't it? It was just so dangerous. You know, she just floats it in, just dinks that right into the back post. You know, and Finney and West just caught underneath it, but you know, fantastic defending and positioning by Gray, just at the back post, just coming in off that right hand side, just to tuck in and cover her centre backs and just usher that out for a goal kick.
Spain regain possession from the Scotland goal kick. It's Bellarano. I mentioned that with the captain switch, though. Lisa Forrest, captain of the opener, Laura Berry with the armband this afternoon. You said you were just captain right the way through, really, the youth age groups for Scotland, but do you see the benefit of giving different players a chance?
Yeah, I certainly do, because it gives them a responsibility. You know, obviously when I was playing at youth levels at Under-19s, I was a captain, and I was a captain throughout the duration of my, obviously when I was playing at that level, until obviously I was too old, shall we say, then to move up to the senior squads. But no, I think it's a great idea. You know, I've seen and heard squads and nations of doing like 5 captains, such to speak, and they've got that responsibility of obviously helping managing the team.
Great play by Gotti on the right wing, causing problems for Scotland early on in this opening 10 minutes, and drawing the corner there. Central player of the tournament winner in this competition in the summer, as she looks to drive Spain to another finals, this year held in Poland. Will be Lorena Kubo to whip this ball in, looking for Amaya Garcia. Spain get the shot off and deflected wide for the corner again.
Certainly last ditch defending there, Callum. You know, we were throwing bodies into the box, you know, looking to obviously pick up the second ball. We've certainly done that, but just seen that clip there, it was great defending, wasn't it, from Greenwood, just to stop that block, stop that cross coming into the box. But just here you can just see we're looking to get bodies on the line, everyone trying to get their foot onto it, block that shot, and we managed to do that.
Brodie Greenwood, one of a number of players that were terrific for Scotland in that opener against Czechia. Really good on the ball, but also capable of winning the tackles and showing her tenacity there. Scotland with another corner to defend in. That one nearly catching Eva Easton out, but the ball just swirling in the wind over the crossbar and behind for the goal kick. Very dangerous on a windy day like today.
Absolutely, I think he's maybe trying to do a Conley Jackson direct from a corner. But no, it's obviously the conditions. You can just see the wind blowing, and you know, it is certainly bustly. But if you're looking obviously to play the conditions, you'll then have to change obviously how you then set up your set piece. If you're looking just to try and play it long, it's just going to come back straight at you, and you can just see what we're trying to do here. We're trying to play it short to try and obviously build the ball out. You know, we've seen obviously Eveson had kicked the ball long, it just comes straight back due to the conditions. So you've obviously got to try and adapt to obviously what's in front of you.
Scotland bravely playing it from the back there. Maddie Finney fouled by Serato. It's well won by Kubo in midfield. Georgia Gray's there to pick up. Clark just has it taken off her by Sarah Yordi, and Gears Zabala now will find central defender Aicha Kamara, 18 years old, of Barcelona, another one of those under-19 Euro winners in the summer. In the team of the tournament as well, Kamara, the central defender, played in the under-20 World Cup in September as well. Looks a real talent for the future. Spain just knocking it around now. Scotland happy to let them have it whilst trying to press high a little.
Yeah, we just haven't had a hold of the ball yet, have we, Callum? We've just can't get 2 or 3 passes together just to try and get the momentum going within the team. But you know, we're working tirelessly, you know, defending well, trying to stop crosses, stop the shots, defending set pieces. So it's going to be a tough afternoon for us.
Daniela Gotti driving forward. She did well initially, just overrun though and behind for the Scotland goal kick. As we both mentioned, Spain are big favourites for this one. They've controlled the opening quarter of an hour, but the longer it stays 0-0, the more, you know, belief Scotland will get. We saw last night, unfortunately, the senior A squad beaten 4-0 by Germany, and you know, conceding inside the opening minute, kind of lost confidence straight away. But Scotland have probably more than matched Spain the opening 15 minutes here, and that will give them confidence and belief.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the longer you stay in the game, your confidence grows, doesn't it? You know, you try and take the game in quarters, you know, take it in stages. Okay, can we get to the first 15 without conceding?
Dador's ball flicked away well by Ella West, and Spain probing here, trying to create that opening goal. Kubo finding Bejarano, who'll strike from distance. Audacious effort and comfortably behind, but Spain showing they're not afraid to have a go.
Yeah, you'd be looking for your player to have a strike there. You know, we're just a little bit slow to react to that. You're looking for Forrest, Lisa Forrest, just to get out and close her down just a little bit quicker, because the longer that Spain have possession of the ball, the deeper that we drop, and we just don't want to have that low block and almost sit at the edge of our box at times defending, because it's going to be a long afternoon.
Greenwood into the feet there of Mason Clark, looking for Laura Berry. She's been starved of possession so far. Not just those 2 goals for Berry and the match against Czechia, but a terrific performance as well. Her hold-up play, her link-up was tremendous, showing that pace and power she's got already at such a young age, which makes her hard to ignore it at first team level for Rangers as well, albeit they've got some terrific talents on show as well.
Yeah, of course, it's fantastic to see a youth player the likes of Laura Berry, only 17-year-old, you know, bursting onto the scenes at Rangers senior squad and making a big dent in at Motherwell and putting fantastic performances in there. That obviously credits and merits are coming back to the first team, especially being obviously the business end of the season, which we touched on when Rangers are fighting on all fronts, aren't they? And as you say, the Rangers have got, they're littered with first class players at striker position, the likes of Kirsty Howitt, and you know, she's obviously coming up against that and she's not afraid to compete with that, you know, and that's fantastic to see, and obviously that's credit to obviously the development obviously throughout her full career so far, but you know, and she's going to flourish into a fantastic player hopefully for us.
Garcia finding Aguirre Zabala, wide now for Comendador, trying to go beyond Gray, but it's brilliantly defended again from the young Partick Thistle player, formerly of Rangers, Georgia Gray, but 17 appearances for Thistle this season, narrowly missing out on top 6, but she's been really key for Brian Graham's side and has had a very good game so far.
She's very good at her 1v1 battles, isn't she, Callum? You know, she's not scared to go to toe with these Spanish players and try and isolate them, and she's got the belief and the confidence to go and try and win that ball in a 1v1 battle defensively, and she's matched them so far during this game.
Here's Kamara. Still Spain 0, Scotland 0 in the opening stages of this second match in the Under-19s Euros qualifiers. Spain looking to break the deadlock now. Serato was there but unable to penetrate the defence. 6 meetings between Spain and Scotland at this age group, Under-19s. Fortunately for Scotland, 6 defeats. The stats don't read too well. They last met in October 2022 and Spain were 6-0 winners that day. Hayley Adams, who started for the A squad last night, featured in that game. I mentioned the pathway for players at this age group into the first team squad. Lisa Forrest is just dispossessed. She did well to win it back, and there's Maddie Finney again with that fantastic tackle.
Yeah, great cover. You know, that's what Finney's really good at. You know, she, as you said, she's been in the senior squads with her club team at Aberdeen for a long time, so she's just obviously been in those type of situations under pressure, looking to cover your other centre back, looking to cover your full backs, and she loves a challenge.
Scotland will have another free kick to defend, this time from a wider area. Just looking back at some of the games again from this age group over the years, a 3-0 friendly loss in February 2020 and a loss in October 2018. Jenna Clark in both of those squads, also narrowly beaten 1-0 at the Under-19s Euros in Northern Ireland in 2017, but again, the likes of Sam Kerr, Kirsty Hansen, Chelsea Cornett in that squad, and probably as close as they've come to getting something against Spain, a 3-2 loss in April 2012. Is the free kick, I think, just going to need to be retaken there. That 3-2 loss 13 years ago to the day, actually, featuring none other than Caroline Weir, who played in that one, and Alexia Putellas, who has gone on to win the Ballon d'Or. She scored that afternoon.
And as you said, Callum, you know, when you see these youth tournaments, which you're all watching just now, just the development, you know, the chance, opportunities that these youth players have got to then go on to obviously senior levels. You obviously got the likes of Caroline Weir, world-class players, going playing for Real Madrid, Erin Cuthbert going playing for Chelsea. You know, there is real opportunities there for youth players coming through at this level.
I think Aguirre Zabala just shown a yellow card there. Referee being a bit overzealous with the cards early on here, but Kubo believes it will be Aguirre Zabala to whip her in. A brilliant ball, and what a save that is from Eva Easton. But it turns in by Spain, and it's Pau Comendador who has broken the deadlock. Brilliant initial stop from Easton.
Tremendous
Real
stop
Madrid
there.
striker on hand, yeah.
Yeah, tremendous stop there by Easton. You know, just down at her left-hand side. You know, I thought she's not getting there. You know, but then if she's obviously got down to that left-hand side, she's clawed it out the back of her net. But then you're just looking for your teammates then. Go and react first. And the only one that reacted first there was Conley Jackson. You know, you were obviously looking them for West to maybe react. You know, she's got her back turned to it. Just maybe trying to obviously slide and put your body on the line, but you know, I think it was coming, wasn't it, Callum? You know, we were under pressure there for the first 23 minutes or so during this game. No, we've stand still so far, but what'll be important now is how do we react?
Yeah, perhaps maybe frustrating for Scotland to concede from the set piece. It was a great delivery by Aguirre Zabala, who was initially booked, I think, for trying to take it maybe too quickly. But the initial ball wasn't a fantastic one. The referee replayed the free kick, and the second time of asking a tremendous ball. Alba Serrato was up well. You feel for Eva Easton there after a tremendous stop, but Comendador doing what she does best, and that's scoring goals. An under-17 World Cup finalist as well in the Dominican Republic in October and November. She was the captain of that squad, Golden Boot winner. 5 goals in the tournament, including a hat-trick in the quarter-final. She also made her Real Madrid first-team debut at 16, scoring her first goal at 16 as well, and one of a number of talents in this Spain squad.
That's quite incredible, isn't it? You know, 16-year-old and you're making your first-team debut at Real Madrid, and then to match that, you go and then score your first senior goal. Tremendous.
Yeah, currently plying her trade in the second tier with the B side. Here comes Laura Berry. Berry with the effort. Scotland on the counter here, and it's narrowly wide. First real chance of the afternoon for Scotland. It's the captain, Laura Berry, trying to catch out Laia Lopez, who was off her line. A lovely counter. And Clark here to Berry, and Scotland so close to an immediate equaliser.
Yeah, great steal by Clark in the middle of the pitch, you know, and our first instinct is, can she release Berry? Trying to obviously that counter-attack, try and catch out the Spanish defence, but that little flick by Berry there just to put it through the defender's legs. And just awareness, so you knew exactly what she was going to do. What she wanted to do is try and lob the goalkeeper. Correct decision.
Yeah, deflection as well. It's taken. Pine now for Scotland corner. Lisa Forrest over it. Had such an impressive match against Czechia. Scotland have loaded the box. It's Forrest to deliver. Cleared brilliantly, I think, by Kubo it was, and here's the goal scorer, Comendador. Spain looked to counter from this Scotland corner. Deliveries were so effective on Wednesday against Czechia. Lisa Forrest from that left with her right foot, and we saw Connolly Jackson score from the corner for Scotland's 4th goal, but her deliveries all afternoon were tremendous, and if Scotland are to try and nick something from this game, they'll be wanting to improve on those corners perhaps.
Yeah, of course. I think when you've got obviously a set piece, any team, any nation, then you have control over that ball. You know, you've done your training on the training pitch, you know, went through set pieces, went through the different options that you have. You get your best taker to go and deliver a good ball into the box, and those opportunities we've got to capitalise on. It was a good delivery in by Forrest, there's certainly no doubt about that. Just obviously looking for maybe the likes of West or Finney to go and obviously get an end of it.
Yeah, there was no question about the delivery from Lisa Forrest, a terrific talent, playing her trade with Glasgow City. It was Akir Sabala's ball there, comfortably claimed by Eva Easton, who's had a solid afternoon so far. Cross balls and fantastic save just before the goal, and there she is again on hand to calm things down at the back.
Yeah, she's a talented goalkeeper, and what a role model she has, training with every day, you know, at Glasgow City and Lee Gibson, you know, Scotland's #1 for the senior squad. And you know, she as you mentioned at the top of the show there, Callum, she had a spell with Partick Thistle where she managed to compete in one of the cup finals, you know, and what an experience that was for a young girl, to go and play your first cup final. But no, she's got bags of experience already for such a young age, and it's always difficult, isn't it, when you're a goalkeeper, when you're a young goalkeeper, you're trying to break into the first team, especially when you've got the likes of Lee Gibson in front of you. And not just that, you know, Erin Clackers, who's out on loan from Glasgow City to Hibs at the moment, so Glasgow City are littered with top quality goalkeepers at the moment.
Yeah, 7 appearances for Eva Easton in the SWPL this term. Only conceded 2 goals in those appearances as well, 5 clean sheets, so she's not done her chances of getting that #1 jersey in the future any harm when she's been called upon. Such a fascinating title race which is still unfolding in the SWPL at the minute, but here come Spain doing that right again through Agote. Easton in hand once more. Mentioned that title race, Glasgow City of course involved, Hibs currently in front, Rangers and are involved as well, and you know, it's a really fascinating title race.
Yeah, it certainly has, and it's a title race that I've never seen so tight before in all the years that I've played, and since I've retired it's never been this close with so many teams involved. You know, of course you've got obviously Hearts and Celtic there, they'll still have a huge say in where obviously that title goes, but you know, there's obviously, I think there's still maybe 7 league games to go, I think there is 7 or 8 league games to go, so still all to play for and still all at stake. It's almost like a cup final every time the clubs go out to meet each other.
Here's a Bala wide for Comendador, who's got the better of Georgia Gray for one of the first times this afternoon, but it was well dealt with. I think it was Brodie Greenwood there sliding in. Here's Kubo again, the Spanish #6, who's controlling that game. Here is the captain, Christina Liebrandt. Here's Zabala. Kubo now. Wide to Bejarano. Spain passing the ball about so elegantly. Lovely one-touch stuff. Serierdo. Magotti back to Siriordi. She tried to cut it back. It was blocked by Ella West. It's going to fall here to Serrazzo. Eva Easton there to block again, and it was cleared, I think, by Georgia Gray.
Yeah, very good defending there again, but just the combination play down the Spanish right hand side, down our left back area. You know, it's one touch passing, isn't it? You know, but looking to create those triangles, just looking to play about us, and they got the better of us on that occasion, but it was Easton once again, you know, certainly called upon keeping the ball out the back of the net, and you know, we've got what, 50 minutes or so to half time, and it'll be a tough task. Just make sure that we don't concede any more goals before half time.
Comendador trying to nick it from Gray, who got a touch on the ball, slides in, and I think prevents the corner. Here is Comendador. Strong in the tackle, but Greenwood won it back, just gives it to Christina Liebrandt. Ball into the box, and Scotland clear their lines again. Bejarano. It's looked dangerous from right back early on. Here's Kubo. Agir Zabala for Comendador. Cuts inside, looking to unleash a strike with that right foot, and they've eased in there again. The goal scorer looking for a second. Just over half an hour played at Spain 1, Scotland 0. Pau Comendador on the score sheet, but just a look at this previous chance.
Yeah, you're obviously West has went to ground to try and get the block on, but you can just see you're putting bodies on the line, and you can just see Gray there. I'm not sure if that came off the top of her arm or not, but obviously the referee hadn't seen that there. But it's good block. You just see the determination from those Scotland players, those youth players, is they don't want to concede anymore. They're putting their bodies on the line. They're determined not to concede it anymore, and that's fantastic to see. Especially at this age group, sometimes you could see maybe teams folding, and their heads going down. They're not getting a hold of the ball. They've already conceded one goal. They're not being able to get possession of the ball, trying to build up passes. There's just almost like chasing shadows at times. So it's a tough ask, but it's fantastic effort and commitment from these players so far in this game.
Yeah, it's Pau Comendador's goal that is the difference. Alba Serrato's had a good start to the game as well. The striker Comendador playing off the left, but it was Serrato that was initially denied by Easton for the goal, and she made a good stop again, or Georgia Gray's block to deny Serrato, but a terrific talent. Also winner of the Under-19s Euros in May, won the Golden Boot with 7 goals. Alba Serrato of Sevilla, 2 in the semi against France, and 1 in the final against England. She's playing first team football for Sevilla. They're 9th in the Spanish top flight. Comendador driving forwards. Here's Agotti with the effort, and Eva Easton being kept busy.
Yeah, she certainly has. I think at times, just when Easton's got the ball here, I think we can maybe take the sting out of the game a little bit. I think we're just looking to get the ball back in play as quickly as possible. Try and give ourselves a break, try and obviously ease the pressure of our defence, get it set up properly and pick the right passes. Aicha
Camara there doing very well to see off Laura Berry after some good work by Lisa Forrest. It's now Kubo. Here's the captain Liebrandt, 2 goals against Switzerland on Wednesday at Broadwood. Also scored against Iceland in round 1 qualifiers. Won the Under-19s World Cup as well in Colombia in 2022, and seem to, every time I speak about a Spain player, I speak about them winning something at youth level, but it's just so impressive. Yeah, they certainly are, and you can't ignore that, Callum. You've obviously got to give credit where credit is due, and as you said, those Spanish youth players already have gone and got their hands on silverware at such a young age already. I'm sure there'll be a hell of a lot more to come from them. Yeah, as we mentioned, Spain at under-19 level have won the last 3 Euros, winners of 5 of the last 6 tournaments. Also won it back in 2004 as well at this level, but a lot of the squad involved in that win in Lithuania in the summer. There's the offside flag up on that far side there to deny Spain the chance for a second. They beat Netherlands in the final. Marissa Garcia, who's on the bench this afternoon, she was on the score sheet in that final. This group as well at under-17 level 13 players involved as they were runners-up in the Under-19s Euros in Finland in 2023. A lot of the squad as well then became Under-17 Euros champions in Sweden in May last year, beating England 4-0 in the final. I mentioned that goal from Alba Serrato. And also a lot involved in the Under-17 World Cup in October and November, where they were beaten in the final by North Korea in the Dominican Republic. So plenty of success, plenty of finals anyway for this age group at least, and more generally success at plenty age groups as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're used to playing in pressure situations and pressure games, and also they've got that expectation of going obviously and going winning tournaments, you know, and so there is pressure on those players. But as you says, there's players within that squad at the moment that have went and obviously got their hands on the trophy last year and at Under-17s level. So you know they're just used to winning. They have that winning mentality right through the age groups.
Good strength there by Lucy Burns on the right. It's been a more defensive task for her this afternoon against Dayara Aguirre-Zabala, who's been terrific down the left. Getting some touches of the ball now, and it's Mason Clark who will win the throw.
Yeah, it's important for us when we obviously get the ball when they find the thirds in situations like that, is try and keep the ball up here, you know, try and frustrate them, take our time. Remember, obviously trying to set up the set piece to throw in, try and work something off the training field, keep possession of the ball. And you can just see Laura Berry, you know, she's giving out instructions to her teammates.
Georgia Gray with the throw. Berry was the intended target, but Spain clear their lines. Scotland had very little of the ball. Spain in full control, but still only 1-0. So that'll give the Scots belief. Gary Doctor's side showing they're very capable of finding the back of the net after hitting 4 against Czechia on Wednesday. Spain 3-0 winners against Switzerland. This one really you would imagine the decider in the group. Kubo, Spanish player down injured. I think it's the captain Lee Brandt. The referee will just bring a halt to proceedings.
Yeah, I think the ball just came right directly off her chest. It did look a sore one, Callum. You know, she was quite close range to it, and you could actually hear the thud of it just going off her initial. I thought it was off her face. But hopefully she's just a little bit winded and gets herself back up on her feet.
Yeah, hopefully she is okay. Well, Scotland giving a decent account of themselves so far. They may be a little frustrated with how things have gone in terms of a lack of chances, but Laura Berry went close immediately after Spain took the lead. But they have, I would say, limited Spain to only real half chances and comfortable stops for Eva Easton, barring the goal where she had to make a superb stop, and that was put in by Comendador. Instructions there been given by Spain head coach Javier Lerga. Joined the Spanish FA in 2016, formerly of the Under-23s and the A squad, assistant manager there. Former youth coach as well with Osasuna. And nice to see that Christina Liebran is okay. She'll be back on in a moment or so. One of the older players at this age group at 19, but already playing first team football for Madrid. 22 top flight appearances for the third club in Madrid. Lopez goes long. He's won by West, and knocked forward by Gray. Kubo just switching play well, spreading the game and trying to get Spain in a more advanced position. Comendador with the foul there. That's been a really key battle so far, Georgia Gray v Pau Comendador.
Yeah, it has, and that is a good battle I like to see. But you know, Gray's matched her. I think there's only twice that she's managed to skip by her, but what a battle that is there. But I think Gray's been tremendous so far in this first half. You know, she's contained her to minimum efforts. You know, she's stopped crosses in, she's got tight to her, she's not allowing her any space and time to get her head down and drive at her.
Yeah, a few blocks and tackles as well from corners and free kicks as well. Georgia Gray, Comendador of course with the goal, but came from a free kick from the wide right that was just a rebound really after a good save by Easton. And Scotland now forwards. Gray with the throw. Comendador looking for fellow attacker Serrato and Agote now. You look at that overlap from Bellarano. Right back bursting forward, but it's well defended by Ella West. Now Eloise Moran looking for Berry, but really tough task. Camera has marshalled her very, very well. And Berry was really running the show against Czechia, but tough task up against Barcelona and Real Madrid central defenders, albeit at youth level. But Raja Camera with an appearance for the first team in the Cup in February. And now for Spain corner. If Scotland can get to half-time at 1-0, I'm sure they'll be fairly satisfied. Still be well and truly in the game. Spain pushing for a second now with this corner.
Yeah, absolutely, Callum. I think getting herself in at half-time, just be conceding only the one goal so far. You know, it certainly gives you confidence then going into the second half, doesn't it? And obviously the weather changes, doesn't it? The conditions change. It's almost like we'll have the wind in our favour.
Lorena Kubo, who's taken a lot of the first half set pieces here. Decent delivery as Spain look to cause problems again, and there's Eva Easton once more. Denying this time. Well, once again it's Alba Serrato. It's maybe 2 or 3 times that Easton has denied the Sevilla striker. Terrific ball yet again, and it's another good stop.
Incredible stop, isn't it? You know, she's made her body big, she's put her arms out, willing to take it on the face, as we've seen it just come clean off her cheek. But she's been terrific, hasn't she, Callum? You know, she's certainly kept the scoreline down so far in this game, and some saves have been comfortable where you would expect her, but situations like that, you know, she's first to react, she's out, she's trying to narrow down the angle, get her body in front of the ball, block the shot, prevent the ball from going in the back of the net.
Scotland with the task of defending another one of these deliveries from Kubo. It's on the money right again. Serrato again was there, but this time over the bar.
Just situations like this, Callum, I think we've just got to take our time. You know, this is much better from us setting up. You don't want to rush anything out from your goal kick. You're in possession of the ball. Can you try and keep it? Can you make the right choices?
It's long from Greenwood. Should be comfortable for Laya Lopez. Goalkeeper has been quiet so far. Played in all 4 of the qualifiers, 3 in the first round in November and December. And of course, on Wednesday, no goals conceded, 4 clean sheets for her. The Real Madrid goalkeeper has been on the bench for the first team recently, albeit it's playing for the B team in the second tier. Just a slack pass as Connolly Jackson looks to intervene. And back by Spain though, and now Liebran coming forward, Comendador using her pace to get in behind. It's Comendador for the seconds. And back to front really quickly for Spain. It's a second of the afternoon for them, and it's a second of the afternoon for Pau Comendador. Scotland 0, Spain 2.
Yeah, it's pivotal moments, isn't it? You can see obviously just before that counter-attack, we're pressing high, we're trying to obviously squeeze Spain in, which I think is a risk. You know, if you're trying to squeeze a Spanish team in like that, then every player has to be switched on and concentrated. As one player switches off, the Spanish players can just play around about you, and that's exactly what happened. And Gray, as I said, we're just praising how well she's done against her. You know, if one knows players don't all press up, one ball just beats everyone out. And she's then facing Easton down a 1v1 situation. It's a comfortable finish for her on the end, but so that's the first time we have pressed them high and we've been caught out.
Yeah, it looked like an advantageous situation really for Scotland as the ball broke to, I think it was Connolly Jackson from Elia Lopez's goal kick, but Spain pressing well, and it was back to front really quickly, far from a long ball. A lovely pass behind the Scotland back line, and Comendador for one of the first times this afternoon getting the better of Georgia Gray, but just using her pace fantastically, and a lovely finish. Eva Easton been terrific so far, but nothing she could have done about that one, and Spain 2, Scotland 0.
Yeah, it's disappointing just before the half-time whistle. Also, Callum, you know, it certainly changes the team talk. I think that's an old cliche saying, but it's so true. You know, if you go in at half-time 1-0 down, you know, you've got a lot of positives to take into your team and to try and prepare you for the second half. But when you concede that second goal just before half-time whistle, you know, it certainly puts a dampener on it.
Lisa Forrest holding off a few Spain jerseys. It's Gray forward looking for Mason Clark. Great use of her body against Agir Sabala. The free kick given there, I think, by the assistant. Spain looking on course to qualify for the 18 finals in the summer in Poland. Looking for a third before the break here, just overrun though. The pass as Comendador, who's on a hat-trick now, is looking to get on for it. Spain, no surprise, will probably be the favourites for that tournament if they are to see this one out this afternoon and then go and get the job done against Czechia, who Scotland beat 4-0. So you would imagine that that's that's something that's going to happen. The last loss was 12 games ago, beaten 1-0 in the Euros group by Netherlands in the summer, but to win the competition. And there's Comendador. It's a third and it's a spectacular finish. Just mentioned she was on the hat-trick, and there it comes. Terrific ball from the right, and the Real Madrid young star makes it Spain 3, Scotland 0. And we were just saying, Emma, frustration that Scotland had conceded a second goal, hadn't got to half-time at 1-0. That one a lovely finish, and now Spain probably out of sight.
Yeah, I'd imagine so, but what an outstanding finish that is. Just her technique, just her awareness. But you know, it's Gray and Burns that's got out at the back post for us at the right back area. Just not one of them picking up, tucking in. You know, having your body position, your shoulders open. Can you see the player? Can you see the ball? No, but that's obviously just all learning and a learning experience. But when you're coming up against players at this level, as soon as you switch off, you get punished. But what a spectacular finish that was, wasn't it? To round off your hat-trick. But yeah, it's going to be an extremely tough second half now for Gary Doctor on his side.
Yeah, continuing her fine form, a goal against England in a February friendly. As Georgia Gray trying to usher it back to Eva Easton. 4 goals in her last 4 as well in the Spanish second tier for Real Madrid's B side. There is the half-time whistle. And Kirkintilloch at Spain 3, Scotland 0 at the break, and really the difference in the game is the clinicality of Spain's forward Pau Comendador. Mentioned made her debut for Real Madrid at 16, got her first goal at 16 years of age as well. Still only 18. And she has really been the difference between the sides at the break, scored all 3 goals for the Spaniards. And Scotland, they've had a chance through Laura Berry, they've had a few corners and flurries forward, but haven't really been in the game. Spain in full control at the break, Emma.
No, they certainly haven't. No, Spain have been in total control and dominated this game from the first whistle in the first half right up until now. You know, and we were just hoping, Callum, weren't we, saying let's not concede another goal just before the half-time whistle, and then we go and obviously concede 2 goals in quick succession, which is obviously disappointing. You can just see as the players are walking off, you know, the heads were down. You can still see Gary Doctor and his coaching team still out. Just at the dugout, you know, they'll just be having a conversation about if there'll be any changes, and I expect there to be changes.
Yeah, we'll just take a look at the highlights from that opening 45 minutes. 3-0 to the goods. It was Akir Zabala's ball. First real chance of the game for Daniela Agote at the far post, and delicious delivery there from the left back, and Agote unable to turn it home. But the Athletic Bilbao winger was involved again, winning the corner there on the right wing. And that led to another chance. Fantastic block as Siri Yordi tried to find the back of the net. Scotland were coping fairly well in their opening 15-20 minutes, but then the goal came from Pau Comendador as this one just floated over the crossbar. But this was sort of foreshadowing that Spain goal would eventually come.
Yeah, it certainly was. I think they were almost peppering their goal, weren't they, in terms of they dominated the ball, dominated possession, pinning us back. We couldn't get the ball at all, we couldn't string any passes together whatsoever, and Beadston's had about a dozen saves to make, shall we say. You know, she's certainly kept the scoreline down, but you know, we obviously can't write off this Spanish side. We can't, obviously, you can't keep them out for a full 90 minutes. There's just too much talent, too much raw talent within obviously that squad, and obviously we spoke about how many times they've won this tournament. Won it 5 out of the last 6, was it? You know, that's quite incredible.
He was the opening goal. That great ball from Akir Zabala denying. Serato was eased in there with a fantastic stop, but Pau Comendador was on hand to tap home after, as I say, that fantastic stop. That was her first of the afternoon. She wouldn't be done there. Straight after that goal, Scotland's best chance through Laura Berry.
What a chance that was. That was quite incredible, wasn't it? Great play by Clark in the middle of the pitch, you know, just to try and nick that ball. Wins it, gets herself back up on her feet, and initially just releases Berry down, right down the centre. That clever touch just to put it through the legs, but just an awareness to try and obviously lob the goalkeeper. But just straight after that, pivotal moments in the game, isn't it? Then we were punished.
Yeah, absolutely didn't probably give enough credit to Laia Lopez for the save there to deny Laura Berry. It's difficult to tell from the angle we're at that if it was heading in or not, but Laia Lopez doing enough anyway to see it behind for the corner, which Scotland couldn't capitalise on. So again was denied. A combination, I think, of Easton and Gray. Sevilla striker, terrific in the under-17s Euros in the summer. showcasing their qualities. Agoti firing a strike, comfortable for Eastham. Once again, another fantastic stop from Scotland goalkeeper as Spain were pushing for that second goal. Kubo again with a great delivery, and it was Serrato once again who must feel rather frustrated that Eva Easton was having a brilliant performance, but here was that second goal. Just the sheer pace there of Comendador, a brilliant finish as well.
Yeah, she just accelerates away, doesn't it? She's got another gear, you know, she actually runs by grade, just shows you how quick she actually is. But just her calmness, her composure, you know, she knew exactly what she was going to do, and she's very clever in terms of taking her first touch directly towards Easton, faces her up, and she go to either side of her. But this goal for Carlin was just outstanding, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It's a tremendous goal.
Probably pick of the bunch. Bayerano finding Comendador, and yeah, tremendous acrobatic finish, and that has us at the break. Spain 3, Scotland 0. Myself and Emma will be back for the second half in around 10 minutes time, so don't go anywhere. Spain 3, Scotland 0 at the break. welcome back to Scotland versus Spain here in Kirkintilloch. It's Spain 3 goals to the goods at half-time. Scotland, it's been a difficult afternoon for them so far. Pau Comendador with the hat-trick, goal around the 20-minute mark, and then 2 killer blows to Scotland as they look to maybe hold that 1-goal lead going in at the break, but too late. First half strike similar really to Scotland in the opening game, who did that to Czechia. It was 1-0 for a large portion of the first 45, and then 2 Laura Berry strikes made it 3-0 going in at the break, and an insurmountable task for Czechia. But Scotland 3-0 down, nothing to lose now. Callum Brown alongside me as former Glasgow City and Scotland defender Emma Black. And Emma, as I mentioned, a difficult first 45 for Scotland, but as I say, nothing to lose in the second half now.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a tough task. It was always going to be a tough task, Callum, coming into the game in the first place, coming up against the champions of this tournament. But you know, we certainly did give a good account of ourselves. You know, sometimes just lacks in concentration. You know, it just certainly opened up the doors and opened up the ways for the Spanish team to get in behind us and add to their goal tally. But you know, as you said, second half we've certainly got nothing to lose. There's no pressure on us whatsoever. What we've got to do now is just go and try and still compete. You know, try and get in Spanish faces. Don't allow them to play round about us, but also to do the basics well. I think that's vastly important at this level in this age group. Is can you do the basics well? Can you defend the box properly? Can you defend set pieces? And we've shown we can do that. We obviously did that in the first half, but you know it's going to be a tough ask. But I'm sure we'll maybe see some changes in this second half. You know, bringing on fresh legs, because it's a tough mini tournament, shall we speak. You know, the 3 games over the 9 or 10 days or so. It's tough on the girls mentally and physically.
We have seen one change at the break anyway for Scotland. I think Lisa Forrest has been replaced. Ashley Robertson of Dundee United on loan from Hearts has come on, the 17-year-old. 22 appearances for SWPL's bottom side this season. Lisa Forrest perhaps, it's Lucy Burns who's been replaced of Kilmarnock, perhaps trying to keep her fresh for Tuesday as Scotland face Switzerland. Here's Agotti. Yeah, Lisa Forrest has just gone across to that sort of right wing back berth that Burns is occupying, and in comes Robertson to maybe try and get more of a foothold in the midfield. It looks like it's going to be Clark and Berry through the middle, more of a 3-5-2 now for Scotland really.
Yeah, I think maybe Forrest has been brought over to the right hand side just to obviously try and give Gray some cover, you know, because that's obviously where the 3 goals have came from.
There's Lee Brandt looking for Serato in the box. I think the offside flag was up anyway. We saw that change on Wednesday. Lisa Forrest moving over to the right hand side. She was playing a sort of left wing role in the first half. Did really well for Scotland's 3rd goal against Czechia, showing that she can mix it up. Mason Clark driving forward now, closed down by Kamara, but managed to get the shot off. Maya Lopez keeps the ball comfortably in the ends. Kamara just showing her pace at the back, hasn't allowed the Scotland front line to really get on the end of anything. Laura Berry's striking the first half, the only real chance, but Kamara's been excellent, in particular alongside Amaya Garcia.
Yeah, she just cruised through the game, hasn't she? She was just a breath of fresh air to watch. She just makes the game look so easy.
Here she is on the ball finding Maya Lopez. A lot of these players on the books of the two top teams in Spain, Real Madrid and Barcelona. Plenty have made first team debuts for those sides as well as they look to burst through the academy, but the majority are playing for the B sides in the second tier of Spanish football. Here is Daniela Agote driving forward. What a dangerous ball that was. Looking for someone to tap home, but it'll come to Comendador on the edge of the box now. It was Lebrand that was up with the header. Scotland breathe a sigh of relief as Spain have picked up where they've left off in the second half.
Yeah, and I wouldn't expect any different from the Spanish side, Callum. You know, they're obviously looking to add to their goal tally. They've got that intent, you know, they just never stop. You just see them pressing here, and that's what they've done to us all game, is they've been pressing us high. You know, as soon as obviously Easton gets the ball, looking to try and build it from the back. You know, they're right on top of us, they're squeezing us down, and want to win that ball back as quick as possible, trying to get that turnover of possession.
Gray finding the Forest. Looks down the line for Berry, but again the Spaniards control the ball well. Haven't really given Laura Berry an inch, minus that chance in the first half. There's a strong challenge from substitute Robertson.
She's just come right through the back of her there, hasn't she? You know, she's at those challenges. You know, you've just got to time them. You know, especially when you're not no chance of winning the ball. Robertson's not going to win the ball there. You know, she just has to obviously go and jockey her, push her back, force her to play the ball back to her goalkeeper or her defence. Keep the ball in front of you, make it easy.
So Scotland looking like they'll perhaps need to settle for second place in this group. Of course, it's only first that qualifies, unfortunately. That looks like it will be Spain if they are to take care of Switzerland, sorry, of Czechia on Tuesday. That one should be plain sailing, given Scotland won 4-0 against Czechia on Wednesday. Gary Doctor's side maybe just use this game now to learn a little bit more about themselves. They were in action against the Netherlands back in November. A Laura Berry hat-trick had them 3-2 in front at one stage. They eventually lost 6-3 though. But again, it was a good learning curve for these players. They then went on to beat Sweden 2-1, and then they hammered Hungary 3-0. So wins against Czechia and Switzerland, albeit would mean that Scotland won't qualify, but it would be still a terrific return, especially against this Spain side. It was always a bit of a nightmare, a bit of a struggle for Scotland coming into it when they knew they were drawn against Spain.
Yeah, it was always going to be a tough group, wasn't it, to try and get out of this, to try and qualify. It's a tough ask, but you know, it's invaluable experience these players are going to gain from this.
Kubo's ball is cleared, and Mason Clark there just shoved off the ball by Lebrand.
I'm not sure why Lebrand's contesting that, you know. she had a challenge just on her from Robertson just about 3 or 4 minutes ago, and it was just very similar in terms of barging her out of the way, but you know, it's said in the first half, it's situations like this, Callum, where we've got to try and do the basics well. We've got to try and keep possession, not rush it. You've got possession, you've got control of the game. Can you find the right passes? Can you execute them?
Yeah, this side in action on Tuesday, as I mentioned, against Switzerland. The women's A squad also in action on Tuesday. They go to Wolfsburg for that double header against Germany, looking to go a bit better than the 4-0 defeat at Tannadice last night. Under-23s are in action tomorrow. They were beaten by Denmark in Spain on Thursday, and now face Portugal tomorrow afternoon. And forward come Spain again. Aguirre Zabala for Comendador. Nicely into Serra Jordi, and Bejarano, creator of the third goal, albeit a lovely finish by Comendador. Here is Bejarano looking to go for goal herself, tries to bend one with her weaker left foot, cutting in from the right hand side, and Eva Easton just lets it go beyond the post. But another teasing effort from Spain.
Yeah, fantastic effort, but Easton, she had it well covered. She was comfortable with that, just pulling her hands out, not to give obviously the corner away, but just a Spanish side, they're just littered with talented players, aren't they, even at this young age. They've got the ability, the confidence to go and put a show on, and it's been a real joy to watch them.
Here is Bejarano again of Real Madrid. Sort of a bit of a connection with Scotland's Caroline Weir, of course. Spain and Real Madrid. Caroline Weir's film Galactica premiered on Wednesday night, showcases her rise as a Dunfermline youth from Hibs to Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, and she's now plying her trade for Real Madrid with over 100 Scotland caps, and that one available on YouTube. That came out on Wednesday night, and it's a terrific watch, and one that can give belief to a lot of young girls growing up. She grew up in Dunfermline, has gone on, as I say, to play for one of the world's best, and a lot of these Scots and Spaniards trying to recreate that. It's a great journey that Caroline Weir's been on.
Fantastic journey she's been on, and even last night watching her, she was just a joy to watch, although we were on the back foot of the majority of the game, our class still oozed out from our team against the Germans, and she just matched them toe to toe, and what a joy a player she is, and what a role model, for young girls and young females growing up in this country, to look to someone like her. Just quite incredible.
Yeah, I think it says a lot that not only these young Scottish players will be looking up to Caroline Weir, but as I mentioned, a few of the Spanish ones, particularly those at Real Madrid, will be as well in that sort of pathway to first team football.
Of course, absolutely. You've certainly no doubt about that. When you're a youth player and you're coming into any club team and you've got world class players that are playing in front of you, you look at them to see, how can I learn from them, how can I develop from them, what do they do on the training pitch day in and day out, how do they live their life off the pitch.
Great switch of play there by Lee Brandt, finds Bejarano. Nice spell of possession this for Scotland. West and Clark were combining, but Kubo's there. Now Serra Jordi for Lee Brandt. Across to Aguirre Zabala, who's been so impressive down that left hand side. I mentioned the youngest player in this Spanish squad, but you wouldn't think it at 16. She's been a real threat. Here comes Bejarano, the right full back. That move just dying down for Spain there. Scotland coping well though in the second half so far.
It's always so hard, isn't it, in the game to try and replicate the first half to the second half. No matter what team you are, you'll never ever put in the same performance what you did in the first half. So Scotland so far have dealt with the pressure well, on occasions. Spain haven't had that many chances, they haven't got really behind us. We've tried to keep the ball in front of us. We're still trying to frustrate them, although the Spanish team are still dominating the game, dominating the ball, having possession. As long as the ball's in front of us, we're okay.
Yeah, it's lessons like this that will stand Scotland in good stead as these players progress through the age groups, but looking at under-19 level in general as well. Scotland haven't qualified for the finals since they hosted in 2019, albeit that was automatic entry. Unfortunately lost all 3 matches to France, Netherlands and Norway. They last qualified in 2017 for the finals in Northern Ireland. That was a terrific qualifying campaign, winning their group, beating Ukraine, Republic of Ireland and Finland. They drew with the hosts Northern Ireland, but were beaten by Germany and Spain at the tournament, and perhaps it's going to need to be 2026 for the year that the under-19s get back to a major tournament. But as I say, playing against this Spain side, it'll do them no harm in terms of trying to learn and trying to progress.
Absolutely, and you know, it's getting more difficult as the seasons are going on now, and each year comes around, because all the nations round about us, they're all developing also, you know, and obviously the investment in the women's game is growing in the women's game, and you know, it's just so hard to compete nowadays, but you know, we've got to try our best to try and match it, you know, and that's a big ask for the clubs as well within obviously our country. Like, how can you go and develop young players, how can you get them onto international players? And, you know, the game is growing, there's certainly no doubt about that. It's so positive right now in the women's game in Scotland. You know, we spoke about in the first half how competitive the SWPL is at the moment in terms of who's going to get their hands on that league title. You can see obviously within the Scotland squad, the senior Scotland squad, you know, there's a number of players that are representing the SWPL in that squad also, which is obviously not, usually it's players from overseas.
Just a bit of frustration there coming out from captain Laura Berry. Felt like she was being held off there by Aicha Camara. Berry then with a shove on the Spanish centre back, and it's her that's punished and goes into the book. Frustration. Just a couple of changes to bring you up to speed with, as Martina Gonzalez, fullback of Barcelona, another one of the under-17s Euros winners back in May 2024. She's on to the park in place, I think, of Agir Zabala, and also coming off is Daniela Agote on the rights. She'll be replaced by Celia Segura, also of Barcelona, also an under-17 Euros winner. 5 goals in that tournament, including 2 in the final against England. Fantastic young talent with 8 goals this season for Barcelona's B side, and another one really off this ever-growing and ever impressive production line.
Yeah, it certainly is, and as I said, Callum, you can't ignore it. You can't ignore those stats and facts about those young players and where they're developing and what club they're at, what trophies they've won already at such a young age.
Lee Brand finding Serrato, and it's now Bejarano forwards for Spain. Clips one to the far post looking for Comendador, who's still hungry for more goals after her first half hat-trick. Moran. Tough shift for these players at this stage, 3-0 down, and doing a power of work off the ball, trying to press these impressive Spanish players and win it back, and you can see a lot tiring perhaps.
Yeah, fatigue will certainly be setting in, you know, but at this hour mark, and as you said, Callum, it's not just physically but it's mentally draining, you know, playing against a top team like this when you're having to concentrate so hard. You're playing that low block, but I expect we can see some changes and some movement on in the dugout now at the moment, with Gary Doctor looking to bring on fresh legs, which I think will be, but which is needed at this stage in the game.
Yeah, fresh legs, and this game definitely needed, and especially as you mentioned with Tuesday in mind, a big game against Switzerland, to try and preserve that League A status as well. Depending on the result later between Czechia and Switzerland, it could be a big game for Scotland if they're to try and progress their League A status for the next Under-19s Euros qualifiers next year. But Scotland will hope that the 4-0 win in Czechia will stand them in good stead for that, though.
Yeah, absolutely, but I think we're going to the game on Tuesday looking obviously to go and get the 3 points.
Segura with the cutback, and there's a lovely finish from Sarah Yordi to Barcelona academy talents combining there. Segura off the bench with the cutback, and Clara Serra-Jordi with a fantastic finish just over the top of Eva Easton. 4-0 Spain now.
What a classy finish that is, isn't it, Callum? Just the execution of it, you know, our technique, just to get our foot over the ball, our knee over the ball, and to take it first time. You know, it's so difficult at times when that ball's coming across you like that to control your shot and get it on target, but that was a classy finish. And you know, she obviously just skipped down to her right hand side and cut inside Conley Jackson, just cut that back, simple cut back, you know, no one there, we've got nobody there to go and press or close it down. Unfortunately for us, it's over the top of Easton, and she can't do much about that.
And Gary Doctor is going to the bench, and it's just, I think, a singular change there as Mason Clark has replaced Olivia Chomchuk as the replacement. 17-year-old who's at Spartans at the minute on loan from Hearts. Played 20 SWPL matches for Jack Beasley's side, and one of the brightest talents at Hearts, according to our manager Eva Olid, and the head of performance in the women's section, Emma Hunter. A chance for Olivia Chomchuk to come on and show what she's all about this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. That gives her that chance to go and showcase her talent at this level, at this stage, you know, and Gary Doctors has given her the confidence and the belief to go and do that and put on a show.
Here's Bejarano for Serra-Jordi. Hasn't been shy of goals this season, the Barcelona midfielder, playing for the B side in the second tier. 5 goals for her. Here's Comendador, put away by Maddie Finney as Spain pushing for a 5th now. Now another couple of changes for Spain. So we see Ainhoa Gomez about to come on, and Hélène Gurtubay. It's going to be goal scorer of the 4th goal, Clara Serra-Jordi, to be replaced alongside the captain, Christina Liebrandt. So on will come Ainhoa Gomez, again one of the under-17 Euros winners back in May. 3 goals in that competition. She was an under-17 World Cup finalist in October and November as well. Plays her football with Barcelona B as well. And Hélène Gurtubay of Athletic Bilbao, the midfielder, playing for their B side in the 3rd tier of Spanish football, but been on the bench on a handful of occasions in the top flight. So again, more talent just coming off the bench, showing that strength and depth of the Spanish squad, and a couple of players for Scotland to deal with as the referee gives a free kick there in the middle of the park.
Yeah, I think Conley Jackson's just getting frustrated there. You know, she done well to skip by the player, but there was good body positioning by the Spanish player just to step in front of her, no stop her in her tracks. But just your naming off the substitutes coming on again, Callum. You know, it's just talent after talent, isn't it? And it just shows you, as you said, that the strength and depth that this under-19 squad has in Spain already. But those players are playing at a very good level with their senior squads. Yeah, it might be with the B team, but just having that opportunity at times to get into the first team squad, to sit on the bench and in competitive matches, to surround themselves with world class players, it, you know, it certainly helps their development and their game grow.
Comendador clips one in behind, looking for Segura. Did brilliantly to take it round Eva Easton, but the flag up by the assistant referee there, perhaps getting Scotland out of a bit of bother, as it looked like that would have been a 5th from the substitute. But a good line by the Scotland defence.
Yeah, very good line, but what I also liked was Easton's confidence. You know, she's came out, she's already put her hand up.
Great clearance off the line there by Maddie Finney as Scotland caught playing it out from the back, I think. A mistake perhaps by Ella West, but Spain pressing forward, and well, Easton would have had no chance with that one, but bailed out by Maddie Finney, and a terrific stop, as you say.
Yeah, great covering again by Finney. I think we've said it numerous times during this game so far, haven't we, Callum, that the covering that Finney has done for her teammates, you know, she's sussed out the danger, she's been the first to react, she's quick to get her body on the line and get the blocks on, and she's been called upon again, and she's been matched to it.
20 minutes to play of this one. Spain 4, Scotland 0. And the Spaniards really showing no signs of letting up. It's been a difficult afternoon for Scotland. Free kick given there in favour of Gary Doctor's side. Here's Comendador driving forward once again, left by Segura. Here is Segura, sorry. It was Bejarano that was on the ball. Right now to Gonzalez, the substitute. Kubo back to Gonzalez. The Spaniards playing some terrific football. Scored a number of good goals, but their 1 and 2 touch stuff at times has been excellent. Here they are again, down the right. Bejarano for Comendador with the effort. That's a superb stop from Eva Easton. Comendador hungry for a 4th goal. But that's a terrific stop by Scotland's number 1.
Outstanding save there by Easton once again, but you know, she's just standing there at the edge of the box, edge of her box. You know, no one's picked her up. She's not even moved. She's just shifted it onto her left foot, but tremendous save from Easton once again, called upon to try and keep this scoreline down for us.
Yeah, the afternoon not getting any easier for Scotland. Spain pushing for a 5th, and Easton, who's been very, very good in the Scotland goal. 4 goals conceded by Scotland, but would have been an awful lot more if it wasn't for Easton between the sticks. And Comendador gets the corner after Spain take it short. Bejarano's ball in, looking for Kamara, who's taken the captain's armband now after Libran was replaced. Foul there, one by Olivia Chomchuk. Lovely ball there by Georgia Gray, looking down the right hand side for Forrest. Good defending though from Gonzalez.
Yeah, good defending. I think at times it was just asking too much, Elisa. Forrest just down that right hand side. I think Bob has just had too much on it, and just the conditions has just ran it out the pitch.
Amaya Garcia finds Gonzalez. The wind certainly died down in this half, and going to look like a lovely day in Kirkintilloch. Here's Commendador bursting forward, showing her pace once again. A great ball slipping in. Segura, her effort back off the bar. Can Scotland clear the lines? They have done eventually. Lovely footwork by Eloise Moran, and Commendador with a lovely piece of play. See a replay of that, I think, in a moment or so's time, but Eva Easton could have done nothing about that one, and it was substitute Celia Segura who created the fourth goal. Just smashing the crossbar. Spain probing again. Commendador just gave it away. Lady Finney forward looking for Berry. Two captains who've battled it out this afternoon. Kubo for Gonzalez. Just around 15 minutes to play now. Spain 4 goals to the good, a first half hat-trick from player on the ball there, Pau Commendador, and Ainhoa Gomez with the effort. Good block with the head there from Ella West.
Yeah, good bravery shown there by West, isn't she? That's what you want from your centre back, isn't it? Her and Finney at times have been solid to put their bodies on the line, as I've mentioned, but we've just seen this chance here. Just that rate of pass from Pau, just quite incredible, isn't it? But just to the action from us, it's tremendous to see that commitment, that desire, that never give up attitude.
There was a good cutback from Gurtubai, and lovely block from Ella West. And now I think the fifth and final change for Spain is going to see the hat-trick hero, Pau, replaced by Emma Moreno, also part of that fantastic Under-19s Euro winning side that got to the World Cup final as well. Gurtubai looking for Gonzalez. Plenty of fresh legs on the pitch now for Spain. Good work there. And Forrest get Scotland out of danger. A bit of breathing space now, but yeah, tough task. It's really been all Spain again in the second half, albeit only one goal at the minute in the second half after the first half hat-trick.
Yeah, it certainly has, and you can just see we're certainly tiring. You know, like that was Lisa Forrest just winning the ball back, just in the right back area, but it's a tough ask for Laura Berry. You know, Laura Berry's trying to drop deeper in to try and help her team defensively, but when obviously we try and win the ball, it's just too much for her to ask from her to go from defensive position to offensive position, and you know, she's just too far away to try and get on the end of it. You know, we can see obviously some movement from Gary Doctor and his coaching team and the substitutes at the sideline looking to try and bring on fresh legs.
Yeah, I think a double change being readied there by Gary Doctor. Bring you up to date with that in a moment or so at the next stoppage of play. Here is Emma Moreno looking to find fellow substitute Gonzalez. Good hold up there by Berry, holding off Moreno, and knocks it forward. There's no run from Scotland midfield. Yeah, that last substitute for Spain, Emma Moreno of Atletico Madrid. Here she is on the ball again, looking to square up Lisa Forrest and get in on the action herself. Actually featured against Rangers for Atletico Madrid's first team in a Champions League qualifier in the summer. 3-0 win for Atletico in that one. And again, another one of these players playing the majority of her football for the second team, or the B team in the second tier. think we will see these Scotland changes.
Double substitution for Scotland. Coming off, number 6, Brody Greenwood, and number 10, Eloise Moran.
I think it's just freshening up the midfield now. It's Brody Greenwood and Eloise Moran going to make way. Difficult task for them this afternoon. Eloise Moran of Norwich City and Brody Greenwood was at Motherwell on loan from Hearts. They're replaced by Amelia Oldroyd and Lucy Barclay. Oldroyd, 17 years of age, on loan from Manchester United at Burnley. And Lucy Barclay, we know well, in Scotland, on loan from Celtic at Motherwell. Former Scotland captain at under-16 levels as well.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see that Gary Doctor's changing it up. You know, he's willing to give players opportunities and chances to come on and showcase their ability at this level, and but also to see what the reaction is going to be. You know, yeah, of course we're 4-0 down, but what reaction is substitutes going to have in this game? What mentality are they going to bring to the squad, and how can they help their teammates? And I think now we've got to have an eye on Tuesday. You know, we've got to have a positive performance on Tuesday, and I think Gary Doctor will be having that in the back of his mind at this moment in time.
Moreno for Gonzalez, who'll switch play to Bejarano. An assured performance by the right back. Plenty of crosses into the box, and she had a few shots at goal herself. Registered the assist as well for the third goal. Forward come Spain once again. Gurtubai slipping in. Serrato, who may be frustrated not to find herself on the score sheet. She's been denied on multiple occasions by Eva Easton. Golden Boot winner Alba Serrato at the Under-17 Euros last year. It's been a good performance from her, but she's perhaps been a little bit unlucky. It was her effort that brought about the first goal from Comendador. And now Lorena Kubo with another dangerous ball in, and the free kick given there by a referee.
You can just tell, it happens in every game, Callum, doesn't it? That anytime any team makes any substitutions, it just kills the game, doesn't it? Kills the momentum, kills the flow of the game. But you know, it gives obviously players chances to come on and make a difference. But you know, I think the second half we've been much better at times. We've been solid in defence. We haven't given the ball away in silly situations. Although, of course, we haven't created any opportunities. We've found it difficult to get out half at times. But you know, we expected this would happen, especially when we're playing against a nation like the Spanish.
Bejarano back to Camara. Painoa Gomez. Nice work into Segura. Here's Gomez. Good footwork and a nutmeg there on Robertson, and yellow card there by the referee. Just great play there, lovely footwork, and probably actually a really harsh yellow card.
Yeah. Just seen that back, Callum. I was just about to say that's a harsh yellow card. You know, she can't go anywhere. She's just standing straight there. What's she supposed to do? Just jump out of the way magically or disappear? But no, that's a harsh yellow card. I think we could hear the crowd's reaction to that also.
Yeah, if you were wondering, that was people in the crowd with the rubbish comments. It wasn't us on commentary. And perhaps a bit of frustration with Spain leading 4-0. Lovely work though there by the substitute Ainhoa Gomez with the nutmeg. This second half anyway is far from done. Scotland will be relatively happy with how they've coped with things. Could have been easy to fold and concede a barrel load of goals in the second half, but it's only been the one after the first half hat-trick from Pau Comendador. It was a lovely finish as well. It took something special from Clara Siriordi to beat Eva Easton, who's kept the score line at 4. Connolly Jackson was fouled.
Substitution for Scotland coming off for 11, Lisa Forrest, to be replaced by number 20, Casey McKenna.
Yeah, just going back to what you were saying there, Carol, you know, it could have been a totally different story this second half, considering we conceded obviously many goals in the first half. You know, it could have been a barrel of goals that we conceded the second half. It could have been a uphill struggle, and we could have down tools, and the heads could have went down, the shoulders went down, and we could have gave up. But you know, credit to these players, you know, they're fighting to the very final whistle.
Yeah, Lisa Forrest, the 5th and final change for Scotland. The Glasgow City forward is replaced by Casey McKenna of Spartans. 20 SWPL appearances this season. Played twice in the round 1 qualifiers as well, the defender. Decent effort there as the ball whistles wide of that far post. It was the substitutes, Martina Gonzalez. Just robbing McKenna of the ball, fresh off the bench, and just didn't connect with it properly though. Oldroyd dispossessed, Segura finding Serato. Maddie Finney with another fine interception. She had that block on the line that denied a 5th goal for Spain, and it's been very good in the second half in particular with blocks and clearances. Scotland just unable to get up the pitch there through Oldroyd, and Spain win the ball back. That's probably the only maybe harsh criticism in this second half. As well as Scotland have done, they still haven't been able to really get any of the ball. Spain been in full control, and whilst that's been fine, Scotland have sat in the low block, and you know, they've limited Spain to only really half chances, as well as Eva Easton's done. Unlike Laura Berry's chance in the first half, Scotland not really been able to get forward as much.
No, we haven't, Callum, and it's so difficult when you're playing against a team like this. They're in full flow, aren't they? You know, they're just passing the ball sideways. They have their combination play. They've looking obviously to work those triangles, 1 and 2 touch, what they like to do, try and move us about. But no, we haven't had any possession of the ball. No, you know, we found it so hard at times just to build up that momentum, trying to get 2 or 3 passes working together, or even trying to get a set piece, or just try and release the pressure off our defence and off Easton. Can you get the ball up the pitch? Can you hold it up? But then it's a tough task for the likes of Laura Berry to try and hold that ball up. It's at times she's sometimes too far away from her midfield, or she's too close to her midfield, and then there's no one higher up the pitch. But you know, this is all a learning curve for these players. It's a learning experience. They've got to obviously take the best from it, and I'm sure they will. And Gary Doctor will dissect this game, and obviously will give the positives to the players, and how we can take that into Tuesday's game.
Here's Kubo with the corner, another dangerous delivery. Spain go close again. It's Gonzalez once more, trying her luck, this time with a header. Another superb ball by Kubo, who's dominated that midfield. So that a wicked delivery as well. Just over a minute left of normal time, so we approach the end of this one. Spain have been terrific to watch. So much young talent on show. This age group were winners at under 17 level last year. majority of this squad playing in that side that got to the World Cup final as well, at under 17 level. And another yellow card met with frustration from the crowd once again.
The referee at times has been card happy, hasn't she? Especially with the Scotland players. There's been a number of our players that's been booked already.
Here's Bejarano. Good interception there in midfield by Lucy Barclay. Gomez. Wide to Gonzalez, back to Gomez. Spain pushing here for a fifth.
There were 4 minutes of additional time to be played. 4 minutes of additional time.
Be 4 minutes added. Clearance there by Georgia Gray. Again, has coped well. Had a very good first half up against Pau Comendador, albeit the forward got a hat-trick. For the majority of that first half, she coped very well in the 1v1 battles anyway, but Comendador's pace in the end proving a little too much. One of, you would think, a number of these young Spanish talents that will go on to bigger and better, use this tournament as a platform, a launch pad really for many stars in the women's game. Mentioned earlier the likes of Alexia Putellas, Ballon d'Or winner, Aitana Bonmati, 2 times Ballon d'Or winner, and as well they've all played at this level, won tournaments at this age group, and a lot of these young Spanish players I'm sure will go on to achieve great things, majority on the books with Real Madrid and Barcelona. And it'll be all eyes on Poland for them if they are to take care of Czechia on Tuesday. But if Scotland can go and beat Switzerland on Tuesday, Emma, you'll be alongside me for that one, that would mark a really successful camp.
Yeah, certainly will. Yeah, and that's what we're hoping for. We're going to get a positive result, we pick up the 3 points, and it sets us in good stead. But I think, you know, there's nothing going to stop us. There's nothing to stop us, sorry. You know, we've got the ability to go and do that. We've got the squad to go and do that. You know, Gary Doctor's drilled this team extremely well in terms of tactical awareness. You know, obviously they'll learn phases of play from this game, but it can take into Tuesday's game, and how can they be better? How can they be better in possession? How can they be better use of the ball?
Amelia Oldroyd wide now for Casey McKenna. The cross just goes wayward, but Scotland getting forward really for one of the first times in this second half.
It was a good move, wasn't it? It was a good switch of play, you know, but just there, she's got time to take a touch, you know, just maybe looking for her teammates, you know, just give her a little shout. You've got time, take a touch. Be composed, be calm on the ball. Can you execute that cross into the box, especially when you have the threat of Laura Berry?
It's Connolly Jackson looking to get beyond Bejarano, but it's been a brilliant battle in this match. Real Madrid youngster coming out on top though. But what a performance it was from Fallon Connolly Jackson on the opening match on Wednesday. 2 goals for the young Sheffield United fullback, and I'm sure she'll take positives from this game going into Tuesday as well. That one at the Falkirk Stadium. Spain as well continuing this fine run in qualifying, picking up where they left off in round 1. 6-0 wins over Northern Ireland and Belgium, 3-0 win over Iceland. Of course, they opened it with a 3-0 win against Switzerland, and now 4-0 winners this afternoon. 5 games, 0 goals conceded. .22 goals scored as well across those 5 matches, and really frightening stuff from these young Spaniards. But Scotland perhaps looking for a late consolation goal. Substitute McKenna. Dangerous ball from Shomchuk. It's Connolly Jackson that won the header. Laura Berry just couldn't bring the ball under her control, and that will do us. Leading Kirkintilloch, it's finished Spain 4, Scotland 0. Difficult afternoon, but well, Pau Comendador, the star of the afternoon, a hat-trick for her in the first half. Goal in the opening 20 minutes, followed up by 2 rather frustrating goals for Scotland to concede right on half-time, and that made it an almost, well, it was an unsurmountable task heading into the second half. 3-0 down, and Sarah Yordi finished things off with a classy finish to make it 4. And it's been a difficult afternoon, but as we said throughout, Emma, Scotland can try and take positives from this one into the Switzerland game on Tuesday, and that will really try and be their bread and butter alongside the Czechia game in which they were 4-0 winners.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at the first half, we obviously conceded these 3 goals, but I think the second half defensively at times we were much better. We stood firm, we minimised the chances of the Spanish team. We didn't give away too many set pieces, too many corners. I felt in the first half, I think we gave away numerous corners almost back to back. So we've obviously learned from that. But yeah, there's loads of positives to take into the game on Tuesday. And I think it's obviously vitally important we go into Tuesday's game full of confidence.
We'll just take a look at the highlights of the match then. Spain 4-0 winners, and here was the opening goal. Agir Zabala's cross. It was a great save from Eva Easton initially, and there was the first of what would go on to be 3 from Pau. A frustrating one to concede, but a great stop.
Yeah, it was a great stop by Easton. She's made a terrific save down to left hand side. She's got down quick, but you're just looking for your teammates then to pick up the second balls.
And then just the sheer pace there of Pau Comendador. She was on hand for the second, and this one probably pick of the bunch. Spain do well to spread it wide. Bejarano's ball, and what about this for the finish?
That's a spectacular finish, isn't it? Just that bicycle kick, just setting herself up, but it's just poor defending from us. She was acres of space at that back post.
It was the 4th and what would turn out to be final goal. Segura cutting it back for Sarah Yordi, and that one a lovely finish, just clipped it over the top of Eva Easton, the goalkeeper, with no chance in that one. Spain did end with a flurry of chances, Scotland playing it out from the back. Lovely clearance off the line there though, to deny Ainhoa Gomez. I think it was Gurtubay actually, through the legs there of Easton, but Finney with a fantastic block. Spain again spreading it wide very well. Comendador looking to add a 4th, and we mentioned Eva Easton throughout the match. Emma, a terrific save there, and could have been more if it wasn't for the goalkeeper.
No, absolutely tremendous save from Easton once again. Just a strong hand, manages to push it over, but as I said, we spoke about her all game. She was called upon, she's kept the scoreline down. You should be proud of her performance today.
Yeah, couldn't have done much about that one if it had crept in, but Segura with a really powerful effort with that right boot just off the crossbar. Scotland ended rather positively with a couple of Forey's forwards, Amelia Oldroyd leading the surge, and George McKenna with the cross looking for Berry, but they were unable to find the back of the net. Couldn't get that consolation goal. That's all it would have been though, as Spain have ran out here deserved 4-0 winners. A terrific performance from them, but all eyes for Scotland. All attention turns to Tuesday at the Falkirk Stadium. Myself and Emma will be providing that coverage for you as Scotland take on Switzerland in their final qualifier at the Falkirk Stadium. That one 3 o'clock live on YouTube again. But it's finished here in Kirkintilloch. Spain 4, Scotland 0. Terrific performance from the Spaniards. Scotland well beaten. And as I say, Spain 4, Scotland 0. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon, your Saturday evening, and we'll be back with you on Tuesday.